Welcome to days 34 to 59 of my 100-day, not 100-day survival. I've been graciously informed that apparently when you're doing a 100-day survival, you're expected to have beaten the dragon within 100 days. Um, Thanks to my child, I now know that. I don't see that happening. Um, because I'm still just looking towards getting enough tools to, satiate my need to build a massive house. Although on the bright side, I did notice, I was informed of another way to search for diamond over the way that I was used to, which is, as you'll see in a second, this. You do holes in every, just dig straight holes and then move along. But I changed it to my own way because I don't like looking at it like that. So I just went along the massive path of doing that and um, made, I don't know, a worm, I guess. It just seemed more interesting, and I found it really boring to search the other way. Day 45, I'm just filling in the roof or the second floor or the first floor. I actually don't know what I'm doing when it comes to this base. Normally, I have more of a grand plan of how my base is going to turn out. This time, I'm just winging it. Everything is just unplanned. Like the number of these guys that I've managed to get that aren't doing as much as I thought they would. I was really hoping that when I found out they existed, that they were going to have this ability where you could just put everything in a chest and they would just sort it out for you. They'd manage to put everything in chests. But from my perspective, it seems like they do one in a blue moon. I also figured it'd be a good time to make a map to get a good idea of where locations are. So I can't even remember what day it is because I wasn't looking at it when I started talking. Whatever day I'm on, day 46. I, got a map and I decided I'd, go traverse. I was pretty sure about where um, that desert place was that I got all the white stone shit from. I'm doing really great that I don't even know what I'm talking about. But I want to go back there and get some more. So here's just a time lapse of me running across the map. Day 47, I find another portal. And if you've watched any of the other ones, you might remember it. However, I don't remember things, so my disappointment was immeasurable. Either way, I went to dig up more of the white. God, I don't know why I can't put my finger on what it's called. Oh well. I get distracted having to look around because cinematic views, I guess. I don't know. I just wanted to have a look at what was around, get the creative juices flowing, and proceed to do the 100 days before I quit and play a different game. I mean, before I, climb up these trees to go have a nap because I don't want to run through the night again. You can barely see anything, and it doesn't really make for much interesting content, which is rich coming from me. Day 49. I actually don't know what I do. Like, why have I added so much into this aside from looking? Why am I spinning around in circles? Like, I added all these videos together preemptively. Like, I had this one and the one before. I did them all at once because I want to get to a point where I can just make like a whole episode of me building and not have to worry about you know adding 14 days all in one video. And so I added like a bunch of days from the last episode and this episode into making these two videos. And I've only just now, like, 5 days after doing that, come back to this one where I was meant to do a voiceover for it. And I don't know what half of like my intent was because when I'm editing these videos, when I'm cutting them up and putting pieces together, I'm thinking in my head what I'm going to say. So long story short is, I probably should have thought it through, but eh. Day 49, we're building a tower. One of many towers, one of which I don't know how my plan is to incorporate them into a single building, but this is meant to be one building. This is not supposed to be, castle walls. Everything on the inside is intended to be the inside of a building. So I'm not 100% sure what my plan is. Day 50, I continue with building, trying to incorporate the towers into just part of the building. Because we don't want them to be two separate things. We don't want it to be like an outer tower. It is just one part of the building. After doing a fair amount of building, although definitely not as much as I would have liked to have completed by now, I go down to dig some more. And we stumble upon some diamond. So that's always good. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I have a nice little stockpile of diamond that I still haven't used. This is one of those times where it would have been good to like dig around it to get a good scope of how much diamond I was getting. But, well. Day 51, I finally go for some enchantments, now that I've got everything set up for it. Now obviously I won't be able to get 30 because my level isn't that high and I don't have an XP farm. But I figure if I can't get the specific one I'm looking for on the tool, I'll just have a look at it on the book. Obviously when you activate one of the enchantments on a book, you have a chance of it showing up with other ones, like Silk Touch, which is one of the ones I was going for. That being said, I also got real confused here when it didn't have looting going on it as well, because I forgot that fortune and looting were two different things. But this is going to make it a lot easier to collect cobblestone, well, stone, to be able to make into stone bricks. So, pretty excited about that. Day 51, I wasn't ready. Like, you can hear the noise in the background, but I wasn't ready for this turnaround jump scare of a witch just standing outside of the door. I thought it was an actual person. I hadn't seen witches on this texture pack, so wasn't ready for it. Day 52, we just making some more building because it's just going to be what most of the game is. I'm just trying to get a nice castle. Well, not castle, but you know what I mean. 53. Day 53, I realized that I made a mistake ages ago and I will have a heart attack paying for it. I'm not sure if you saw when I walked in the room, but there was a hole in the ground. And it scared the life out of me. I probably wouldn't have died from that fall, considering how many hearts I did lose on that. But I wasn't willing to risk it. After collecting that coal, I then I always say speed run. I time lapse through building some more of these towers. Well, building more of this tower. Just trying to get a good look at what I want it to look like, because even with building it, I'm still going to turn around and be like, well, that's not exactly what I'm going for. Maybe I need to change it. I'm also looking at giving more layers to the walls, because I don't want them just to be flat, bland walls. I'm looking for something more, multicolored and whatnot. But there's definitely a lot of this that's going to have to be, added to. I also decided to spruce up the. See, it would have been funny if I was actually using spruce rather than oak. I try to add some more color and, liveliness to the towers, because, I don't want to make something that feels ugly. I guess, would be a word for it, I guess. Speed laps showing me having a floating tree, just to make everyone upset, and collecting wood, because you could always use more, and I'm planning on using a lot of just straight log. Day 54, I decided to get rid of some of the buildings in the center area because they're in the way. I was planning on keeping them all there to try and have villagers still around, but at this point I'm pretty sure all the villagers in the village are just gone, which is going to suck for when I want to actually, you know, have a better chance of getting mending books. Day 55, I'm trying to move all my loot to a different location because the storage system down there is just garbage. So I've moved everything over to one side, and then I'm creating a bunch of chests on the opposite side where the little golem dudes can easily track where they're going to and try and have one thing per chest. Day 56, I go through and destroy another one of the buildings, although I then leave half of it in the ground. But we're just making progress, you know? Very slow progress. Wonder if this series would have been better as just like a fact that I'm in hardcore survival and then just saying what I'm doing, like just showing if anything interesting happens in general, rather than having it be like, you know, these are the certain days, these are bits from each day. I mean, I think it doesn't really matter until you have more people that watch it, and I have like maybe one person who watches it. Well, there's an alarm jump scare. I feel like there was a time when I was younger, when I first started trying to do YouTube, which I ended up deleting all my videos, and you know, I was like, there's no point. There's nothing I have to offer. I felt like exactly like that. Like there was nothing I had to give people. You know, there's a lot of people that will put stuff on YouTube or, you know, TikTok or whatever, and it's all just rehashed, just the same stuff everyone else is doing. And they just don't really mind. They're just looking for that attention. And I couldn't get past that myself. Like, I was trying to figure out what I had to offer that would make my input be necessary. You know, there's no point in being somewhere without you having a purpose. You know, unless you're offering something that people don't already have. But then I realized it just doesn't matter. Like, you can do things without needing a reason. And if you're needing a reason, if you need a reason to do something that feels like there's no point, like with YouTube, just remember, people like that guy who crashed his car and had to record himself being pulled out of his car, all for attention, because he was too busy, you know, replying to chats on whatever app it was, Jack Diary, whatever his name is. People like that exist. Your upload, your existence on YouTube is to take away from people wasting their time on people like that. So if you need a reason to post whatever dumb thing you do on YouTube, do it. Because we need less of people like him and more just genuine people. Well, that was definitely a way for a Minecraft video to go. But, no, like I said, genuine people. Genuine people, genuine thoughts. I don't know, some other bullshit. Day 57, I am still building this outline. I'm watching the video and I'm actually starting to get a picture of what I might want to see this, you know, little place become. But it's kind of hard to tell because there's just, I've set myself up with this idea of 100 days. I think I specifically said at the start that I wasn't going to do that anyway, but now I think that I need to have certain things done within the first 100 days. But I guess I could just make it a process of however many days it takes until I'm like, wow, you know, I think I've done everything I want to do. Because I like building, you know, structures. I'm definitely not even close to the best at it, but, you know, I like doing it. And my idea could give you an idea. So if that's the reason I have, then that's good enough. Yeah, this Minecraft video definitely took a bit of a turn. Either way, be a good person. That's it. That's the video. Hopefully the next video starts to get a bit more focused on actually playing the game.